Janey Lee Grace. Welcome to the Natural Health and Sobriety Show on UK Health Radio. Hi, and welcome to the Natural Health and Sobriety Show. I hope you're well, and I am covering a topic today that, goodness, as I say later, I don't think I've ever covered before. Well, not for absolutely ages, and that is the topic of teeth. And oh my goodness, I think it's really only probably in the last 10 years, I've just realized that realization that so many people come to eventually, which is, I wish I'd looked after my teeth at least a little better. It's such a wake-up call, and I really thought that I was the only person kind of suffering from this malaise of having dental issues. But as I've asked around, a whole bunch of people I know in their 50s, some even in their 40s, have had, quite traumatic dental issues going on. And it's led me to do a bit of research, as you do. And I've written a piece in Health Triangle magazine, so have a look at that. Just some of the products that I ended up looking to kind of help me out a little bit, some of the detox products and some of the stuff that supports bone health and various other bits and pieces, because of course there's always something we can do physically to try and affect what's going on with us with our physical health. But in addition, there is, of course, often a lot we can do emotionally as well. And that's something that we very rarely connect with our teeth. Most people listening to this will be very aware of the mind-body connection and the fact that, many of our illnesses have very strong emotional links. But I don't think I'd ever related it quite so much to teeth and dental work until I came across my guest, Dorte Bredgaard, who is a Danish dentist who really does believe that what is going on in the mouth is a direct correlation to what is going on emotionally. And every symptom is a message, Dorte tells us, and we have to be able to listen to those messages. And most of us are just not used to thinking like that at all. So she's a very fascinating woman. Her book is Teeth Don't Lie. Now I must sort of caveat this by saying that some of Dorte's views are, a little out there for some people. But listen to this with an open mind. In case you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my goodness, Janey is not doing anything at all about her dental work that needs doing. I can assure you that I am. I have the best biological dentist that it's possible to have. So I'm absolutely getting supported in my dental work, in case you're worried about me when you've listened to this. But I really do think there are other layers. There's another dimension to pretty much everything. So I really hope you'll enjoy this interview. Well, I'm very pleased to be talking, possibly for the first time, about teeth. I can't believe I've been doing shows about holistic health for this amount of years and have never really covered this topic. And I was just so thrilled recently to come across the work of Danish dentist Dorte Bredgaard, who I'm sure I've not said that correctly, but has just the most amazing spin on it all. And I just absolutely love her work. So welcome, Dorte. It's so nice of you to join us. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So tell us a little bit about your background then, obviously first as a dentist and then how things became a little more holistic for you.
Yes, my father was a dentist. So early on, he gave me the love for teeth. And when I started to work as a dentist, I was really excited. I love to talk with my patients and I love to help them. That's how I perceived it at that time. But very soon I also got this frustration that what I saw in the mouth didn't correspond to what I had learned from science. Mm. Yeah. Some people, they only had cavities in the right side or the left side or the upper mouth or the lower mouth. And somebody could have a very huge cavity in one tooth and all the rest of them could be completely healthy. And I also remember a patient who asked me, why do I get all these cavities? because every time she came to see me, she had 2, 3, 4 new cavities. And of course, I asked her the question that I could ask as a dentist: how much sugar do you eat? And she said, I don't even like the taste, so no. And then there was nothing I could do as a dentist. And then when I had been a dentist for 10 years, then I suddenly had 2 new cavities myself. And I always had very good teeth. So I was, why? Because I knew I hadn't started to eat more sugar, and I was brushing the same way. So why? So that started my journey. And I knew that I had to figure out what was actually going on, because I could no longer find the truth in what science is telling us. And I was thinking and thinking, and I couldn't just, figure it out. But then I had a new friend, a very wise man, and he was an astrologist. And he told me that you get bad teeth when you don't bite back. You bite your tongue instead of biting back. And that completely resonated with me, because at the time I had the new cavities, I was in a marriage that was not working anymore. It hadn't been for some time. And in my family, we don't get divorced. That was shameful to get a divorce. So I was, biting my tongue, and it completely made sense that these gave me cavities.
Wow.
And then I, that was my new working theory. And it became clear very soon that this was something that was going on. I had hit some kind of truth there. And then I knew more and more. I realized more and more the connection between emotions and when we don't express our emotions, how this energy that is not coming out in a good way, that will get into decay instead and break down. And at some point I was really sick of being a dentist, because when you're a dentist, then you need to follow some rules. You have to say that fluoride is healthy and you need to floss and all these things. And I didn't believe it anymore.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot there we can talk about. Just before we get into the link then, between our emotional well-being and what's going on with our teeth, what about the kind of the belief that the teeth are sort of genetic, if you like, that we've either been given good teeth by our parents or we haven't? What's your view of that?
Well, I don't think that genes have this power over us. I think that we learn from our parents. We copy their behavior, and some people with periodontal disease, their parents also have periodontal disease, and that's because they behave in the same manner.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
That makes sense, that kind of emotional link. But surely, there'll be some people who just say, my teeth just were never, even from when they almost first came through, they would never seem strong. There was always issues. Or do you not believe that either?
Well, that would be giving away our power. Well, this happened to me. I'm powerless. But we are not powerless. We have the power ourselves. So when we realize what is going on, what behavior is it better for me to change, then the disease will stop. Because having having healthy teeth is our natural state.
Yeah. I mean, I've read about people in other cultures where they're incredibly old. Sometimes they don't even know how old they are, and they've got all their teeth. They might not look as nice, in inverted commas, in the way we think, but they've got their teeth.
Yes. And but why would we also be the only species who needed to brush our teeth? I know we say that dogs and cats also need to have their teeth brushed, but you will not expect a lion or a cow or a horse. They don't need to go to the dentist, and they don't need to brush their teeth. So why would we? And then people say, oh, that's because we eat all the sugar. But that's actually, there's no evidence that sugar causes decay in humans.
Really?
Yes. But
wow.
when you take a group of people and you ask them about their sugar habits, and then you observe how much decay do they have, there's no correlation at all. But they make in laboratories, they take rats, and then they can find some connection there. But I know when it's not showing the real life, how can you place all that importance in the science? I can't find the word. Sorry.
It's okay. No, your English is great. Your English is great. But I understand what you're saying. But having said that, right? So I've got my kids are forever sort of complaining that because of me, they don't have good teeth. Okay. And then I've got a friend who, my son has a friend, and he's always saying, "It's so unfair, Mum, because I've seen the amount of sugar he eats. I've seen his diet. And yet his teeth are like perfect, right? Which fulfills what you're saying, but also his whole family have perfect teeth."
Yes.
So are we surmising then that they are fortunate enough not to have had the emotional traumas, perhaps? Could it be that simple?
Or otherwise the trauma will hit another
different parts. That's true. Wow.
So the teeth are very much about communicating, because words are energy. And if you're very angry with somebody and all the anger is not coming out of your mouth, that's all that energy will turn inwards, be used for something else. Wow.
It's such an interesting way of looking at it all, and it certainly makes us really stop and think before we just rush off to dentists to have our kids' teeth straightened and fillings and God knows what. I mean, my own son has had an absolute catalogue of unbelievably difficult situations because of poor dental work. There's no other way of putting it. Actually given a root canal when he needed a small filling, given a root canal without us even being asked, which then became badly infected. Oh, goodness me. I mean, on and on and on. Thankfully, we do have access to really good functional medicine doctors and holistic professionals who have been able to sort it out. But I dread to think what would have happened otherwise, So there is an issue, and I think it's great that all of us can start to see things from a slightly different perspective. But this is a massive 360-degree spin for most people, isn't it? Yes. So obviously, some of the kind of obvious questions people are going to want to know then is, first of all, how do we keep our teeth healthy? Because obviously we do have to take some responsibility. So what is the best way to maintain healthy teeth, healthy gums? I mean, I'm guessing you're not advocating we eat loads of sugar, because it's not very good for us anyway, is it really? I'm guessing anything processed is not going to be beneficial to our health generally. But what would you recommend for teeth and gums?
The most important thing is to speak up for yourself. Say your truth. Let the words out. And what has surprised me the most is how intelligent teeth are. Because, I remember all the years that my father was checking out my teeth, and I don't know if I have 0 decay or 10. I didn't know. So that's what we normally think, that we don't know anything. But actually, I realized that teeth are telling us if something is wrong. If food is stuck between 2 teeth, it doesn't have to be decay, telling you decay, but it talks about these areas of life that the teeth represent, that something it needs your attention.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you about, I have 2 cavities. I discovered that 8 years ago when I was having an x-ray, and I could see, whoa, I have 2 cavities on my back teeth. And I realized, well, I'm not going to have them drilled. I couldn't do that. So I make this experiment with myself, and I realized that these cavities, they are not progressing unless the energy is challenged. I don't have my wisdom teeth because, it's the norm that they just have to be pulled out, but they don't.
No, I'm going to say I can imagine they don't. I've managed to get to my ripe old age and only recently had 2 taken out, but till then I hadn't, and I was very grateful that I hadn't, because they're there for a reason, for God's sake, aren't they?
Your body wouldn't make this masterpiece if you didn't need them.
Yeah.
But so my teeth, when it was the last, it's the number 7 when we count from the middle. So the number 7 is about my authority.
Right.
And 3 years ago, I was challenged on my authority. And then the cavities started to be worse. And they told me, because now that it was the last teeth, there couldn't be food stuck between the teeth. So they found another way. So they suddenly got sharp. It's not that they changed their form, but suddenly they could tear my tongue. And I was, this was so annoying. And I remember that maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I remember that suddenly this sharp edges on my teeth. And I didn't know then what it was. But actually, it was my teeth telling me, Dorte, something is going on here. Realize what is your authority? What is wrong with it? Why is it imbalanced?
Right.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Well, let's talk about bacteria, because as you know, that's been an issue for me with, gum disease. Terrifying expression. Oh my God, you've got gum disease. It's really scary. But I absolutely have had this issue with bacteria in the mouth. So let's just talk about this then. Periodontal disease is the phrase, isn't it? How do we prevent it? And for those of us that are unfortunate enough to be in this position, what can we do?
It was never due to the bacteria. Never, ever. Because if we think in logic, why do we have bacteria in this world? But bacteria have a job, and their job is to break down dead or dying tissue. But what we have learned, we've been indoctrinated that the bacteria are here to attack our teeth.
Must be killed.
Yes. But bacteria are always secondary. It means that if we have dead or dying tissue in our mouth or other places in our body, then there will come bacteria because they come to do their job.
Yeah.
And many years ago, I heard that all diseases come from within, and I actually didn't understand at all what it meant. But today, I don't doubt it a second. All diseases come from within, and that means that decay come from within, it means that we create decay. We create periodontal disease, gum disease. We create that. It was never due to bacteria.
But what can we do to, A, not create it, and B, deal with it once we've got it then? Because I hear what you're saying, but it's too simplistic, isn't it? Just to say, okay, I'll speak up then, or okay, I won't have emotional issues, because we do, don't we? It's just, we do.
That's part of our human education.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gum disease, periodontal disease is due to this underlying basic emotion of feeling lack of support.
Yeah.
And feeling lack of support is not dangerous, but it's how we perceive that lack of support. If we enter the role of a victim, that's where all the problems start.
Yeah, that's definitely the case for me. I can see it. Now, having spoken to you, having read your excellent book, which we'll mention in a minute, I can absolutely see that victim role has played a big part.
Good. And we all know the victim role. I now that I teach a victim role, then I'm realizing that I enter the victim role maybe on a daily basis. And that's okay. But when I realize that now, I reacted as a victim, then I can change that.
So sometimes is the awareness enough then?
Yes.
Rather than having to be perfect, because none of us are.
Yes, exactly. The awareness is everything. Yeah.
Right.
And I have seen many people let go of their gum disease. Not as a result of me working as a dentist, never, ever. But when they do the inner work, then they change. So actually, I guarantee that you can let go of your periodontal disease if you work with yourself. If you every time you are about to enter the victim role, when you pause and say, oh yes, this is the victim role, I want to react in a different way. Okay, how can I react otherwise? What choices can I make?
Yeah.
And I have seen that cure the periodontal disease a number of times. Actually, I have an online course. It is in Danish, where with a small group of people. And actually, the group that we had last year, one of the women, she had x-rays in the beginning of the year, and then she had x-rays after she had been on the course. And it was clear that her bone tissue had improved.
Yeah.
There was a visible difference.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next question. How can we support the those of us who have that bone loss as well? Because that also feels really scary. When somebody says, I mean, I in my case, as you know, I had to have an extraction, and the dentist wanted to do the augmentation work to put an implant in, but there wasn't the bone there. Well, I'm actually really grateful there wasn't the bone there, because I don't want an implant. Right? Okay, enough already. I've had enough messing with my teeth. Okay, if I can not have an implant there, I'd rather not. I mean, would you agree?
And that is essential. You say the dentist wanted to. Yes, the dentist wants to make money. Of course, we all do. So, if you want an implant, if you need that extra tooth, then tell your dentist, I want that. But don't let the dentist be the judge.
I think, in fairness, there's a lot of dentists who do fantastic work, and their assumption will be that you won't want a gap there, and I understand that completely. But I do think that sometimes people can end up having so much dental work done. It's just one thing after another, after another, after another. Whereas perhaps what you're saying is, let's just step back a bit and just let's have a look at what's going on emotionally.
Yes.
Before we recreate these problems. I so wish I'd known this stuff when my kids were younger. I really do. But it's never too late, is it, to become aware?
Now.
Yeah, exactly. So any other kind of top tips for us then that you know, do you have any other little gems of wisdom that you can offer? Apart from, I've really heard what you're saying, you know, take that pause when you feel yourself going into victim mode or whatever your issue is. But do you have any other tips generally about looking after our teeth?
Well, be aware of the symptoms. Every symptom is a message.
Yeah.
So if the gum is bleeding, or if there's a bad smell or taste, or sharp edge, or a tooth suddenly get too high, or, as I said, also food stuck between your teeth, that's a symptom, and that's a message that you should be aware of. Something is needs to be cleared in your system. And I have mapped all the teeth, so because I realized that teeth are connected with areas of life.
Yeah.
So if you have the number 6, when you count from the middle, number 6 in the lower mouth is one of the teeth that are usually problems with. And that tooth is about work, being the helper in society. And many people, they have a job that they don't really thrive on. And that's what is causing all the problems with that tooth.
Yeah, interesting.
So if you have symptoms, then stop and find out. You know, I think I have on my webpage, I have this chart of how teeth are correlated with areas of life. So you can look, oh, this is about this area, or this is about my authority. Oh yes, how do I change that in my life?
Wow, amazing. So tell us where we can find your work. Your book, I should mention the book. It's a great ebook called Teeth Don't Lie. It's the perfect title, isn't it? Because that's exactly what you've been saying. The teeth, your teeth will tell you what's really going on. Teeth Don't Lie. And just remind us of your website then, Dorte, where people can find out more information.
Yes, and my website is my name .dk.
Is that how we say it? Okay.
Yes.
I'll put that in the show notes so that people can link.
And actually, my paperback is only sold by me.
Yeah.
I tried Amazon once, and I couldn't make it work. So, but I send worldwide.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And it's also as an
ebook. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. I'll make sure that link goes in the show notes so people know where to find out more about your work. And wish you all the best. If you get that course going in English, we'll promote that for you as well. That'd be a great thing to do.
I do have some online courses also, but
Brilliant.
maybe they want to get to know me a bit more.
Yeah, of course.
Or they just sign up for a course.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, Dorte. And you can find Dorte's work at, we'll give you the information about her website, and her book is Teeth Don't Lie. And if you go to my website, imperfectlynatural.com, you'll find a whole bunch of information there as well. I've written a post about some of my experiences. Just for the record, I personally highly recommend now the neem oil. There's a great company that I've put a little link to in Health Triangle magazine, who do some neem oil, which is really good for teeth and gums. There's also the neem toothpaste, which I'm really liking. And then there's a whole bunch of supplements that I think are just absolutely critical. And again, if you go to my imperfectlynatural.com site, or if you look at my article in Health Triangle magazine, you'll see there's a link there to the supplements that I would really recommend that will help you, with dental issues. If you're having mercury removed, as I've had the pleasure of, then you need some really good detox protocols, and I recommend a few of those as well. And of course, everyone needs vitamin C. Don't forget those basics: the vitamin C, the magnesium, but it's got to be the right type. So these are just my opinions. Obviously, everyone has to work out what is going to work best for them. But I've certainly had a long learning curve now. I certainly feel I've paid my dues. in the dental department, and I'm going to add in some of the kind of messages that my teeth are giving me as well, after having had a conversation with the very fascinating Dorte. So thank you so much for listening. If you have suggestions for guests that you'd like to hear on the Natural Health and Sobriety Show, oh, by the way, that's an interesting point that I didn't mention with Dorte. One of the amazing benefits of stopping drinking is that that definitely, number one, you get to go to the dentist because you don't put it off for years like I did, which is probably why my teeth were as bad as they were, let's be really honest. And secondly, your teeth, do have a much better chance when you're not drinking. One of the things they ask you on the form when you rock up to the dentist is how many units of alcohol per week do you drink? And oh man, it's super fabulous to be able to write 0. And if only I'd done it sooner, right? That's my only regret. If that is something that you are struggling with, or you're even considering, then check out my other podcast, Alcohol Free Life, and check out the Sober Club. It's a community where we focus on a totally non-judgmental approach to living your best life without the booze. So if that's something that interests you, it's thesoberclub.com. I'll see you next time. You've been listening to the Natural Health and Sobriety Show on UK Health Radio.